My girlfriend called me. I'm leaving you. Don't ask me why. I replied, okay. She expected begging. When she came home drunk later and found all her bags already packed, labeled, and stacked by the door, she started crying. I'm Alex, 31M. She's Brianna, 28F. Together 3.5 years. Living together for 2. I thought we were solid in that boring, adult way. Shared groceries, inside jokes, arguments about laundry that never felt like end-of-the-world stuff. I'm leaving you. Don't ask me why. That's the exact text. No emoji. No punctuation drama. Just a sentence dropped like a dirty plate in the sink. When that message came through at 2:14 p.m. on a Tuesday, I stared at my phone waiting for the follow-up. There wasn't one. Normally, this is where people beg. Ask what they did wrong. Call. Text 10 times. Spiral. I felt the instinct kick in for about half a second, and then something in me just shut off. I typed back one word. Okay. That was it. I didn't mean it sarcastically. I didn't mean it brave. It was just honest. If someone tells you they're leaving and won't even give you the respect of an explanation, what exactly are you supposed to fight for? She read it immediately. I know because the typing bubble popped up, then disappeared, then popped up again. Nothing came. I went back to work like my life hadn't just been casually detonated by text message. Around 4 p.m., she posted an Instagram story. Cocktails. Loud bar. Caption. Unbothered. That told me everything I needed to know. She wasn't heartbroken. She was performing. So instead of waiting around to be humiliated later, I did something else. I went home early. I opened the hall closet, then the bedroom, then the bathroom, and I started packing. Not in anger. In silence. I folded her clothes carefully. Shoes wrapped. Makeup placed so nothing would break. I labeled each bag with a black marker like I was doing inventory instead of dismantling a relationship. By the time the sun went down, every single thing she owned was packed, sealed, and stacked neatly by the front door. I didn't know it yet, but she was getting drunk, very drunk, expecting to come home to a man still waiting. She had no idea what she was about to walk into. She came home at 11:47 p.m. I know the exact time because I checked the oven clock when the door slammed hard enough to rattle it. I was sitting on the couch, lights off except for the lamp by the window, scrolling mindlessly like this was just another Tuesday night. She laughed when she stepped inside. Loud. Sloppy. The kind of laugh meant for an audience. Wow, she said, kicking off one heel. You're still up. I thought you'd be blowing up my phone by now. I didn't answer. She took 2 more steps forward and finally noticed them. The bags. 6 large suitcases. 3 trash bags tied neatly. 2 boxes labeled bathroom and shoes, fragile. Her tote with the broken zipper sitting right on top, like punctuation. She blinked. Once. Twice. What is this? She asked, squinting like the alcohol hadn't caught up yet. Your stuff, I said. Calm. Neutral. Packed. She laughed again, but it came out wrong this time. Short. Sharp. Okay, very funny. You're being dramatic. I didn't move. Her eyes dropped to the labels. The handwriting was mine. Careful. Deliberate. Why are my bags by the door? She snapped. You said you were leaving, I replied. So I didn't ask why. I just helped. That's when the color drained from her face. No, she said slowly. That's not. Alex, I didn't mean right now. I meant, I don't know. I was upset. You texted me you were leaving, I said, and told me not to ask why. She stared at me like I'd broken some unspoken rule. You were supposed to fight, she said. You were supposed to call me. Beg. Ask what you did wrong. I shrugged. You told me not to. Her mouth opened. Closed. Then her eyes filled, not with sadness, panic. This is insane, she said. I was drunk when I sent that. And I was sober when I replied. Her voice cracked then, suddenly loud. So that's it. 3.5 years, and you just say okay? I looked at her, really looked at her. Makeup smeared, phone clenched, confidence gone. You already left, I said. You just didn't expect me to accept it. That's when she started crying. Not pretty crying. Not quiet. The kind that shakes your shoulders when control finally slips. And for the first time all night, she realized she wasn't the one deciding how this ended. She dropped down onto the floor right there in the entryway, back against the wall, knees pulled to her chest like the bags were going to jump her if she stopped watching them. This isn't fair, she kept saying. This is so unfair. I stayed on the couch. I didn't move to comfort her. I didn't argue. I'd done enough emotional labor in this relationship to recognize when silence was the only honest response left. After a minute, she looked up at me, mascara streaked, eyes red and unfocused. Say something. You already asked me not to, I said. That made her cry harder. She tried anger next. That was always her default. You're doing this on purpose. You're trying to hurt me. No, I replied. I'm doing exactly what you told me to do. She pushed herself up unsteadily and grabbed one of the labels. Read it out loud. Winter coats. You even folded them, she said, incredulous. What kind of psycho packs someone's things like this? The kind that listened when you said you were done. She swayed a little, then steadied herself on the wall. I didn't mean it like that. I just needed space. You asked for space, I said. I gave you distance. That's not the same thing. It is when you don't explain anything. She stared at me, searching my face for guilt, for regret, for something she could grab onto and pull back under her control. She didn't find it. Where am I supposed to go? She asked quietly. I shrugged. You seemed pretty confident when you left. That stung her. I saw it land. She wiped her face with the back of her hand, then tried a softer voice. Alex, come on. I was emotional. You know how I get. I do, I said. That's why I took you seriously. Her phone buzzed. A notification from one of her friends. Probably checking in after the dramatic exit she'd staged earlier. She looked at it, then back at the bags. Reality was finally catching up. She hadn't expected consequences. She'd expected leverage. And for the first time since I'd known her, she didn't have any. She stood up too fast and nearly tripped over one of the bags. Move these, she snapped. I'm not leaving tonight. I didn't budge. You already did. She scoffed, wiping her face aggressively. Wow, you really practiced that line, didn't you? No, I said. I just finally stopped improvising. That pissed her off. She started pacing, barefoot, heels abandoned by the door like everything else she'd dropped without thinking. You're acting like I cheated on you or something. I went out. I had drinks. God forbid. You didn't break us by going out, I replied. You broke us when you walked out and told me not to ask why. She laughed bitterly. So now I'm the villain? I'm not casting roles anymore, I said. I'm just ending the scene. She stopped pacing and stared at me. Hard. Like she was memorizing my face for later, either to miss it or resent it. Probably both. You know, she said slowly. Every guy before you begged. They all begged. That sounds exhausting, I replied. Her eyes narrowed. You think you're better than them? No, I said. I just think I'm done auditioning. That's when she tried guilt. Her specialty. I gave you everything, she said, voice trembling just enough to sound sincere. I moved in with you. I chose you. And this is how you repay me? I almost laughed. You didn't choose me tonight, I said quietly. You chose to disappear and make me wait. She opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. Because she knew it was true. She slid down the wall again, slower this time. Less dramatic. More real. I didn't think you'd actually let me go, she whispered. I nodded. That was the mistake. She looked at the bags one more time, then at me. And for the first time all night, there was no attitude left, just fear. What if I can't undo this? She asked. I didn't answer. Because some questions only exist after it's already too late. She ended up sleeping on the couch. Not because I offered, because she passed out there sometime around 2 a.m., phone still in her hand, one arm draped over a bag labeled jackets like it was a life raft. I went to bed, closed the door, slept better than I had in months. In the morning, I woke up to the sound of drawers slamming. She was sober now, which somehow made things worse. You really packed everything, she said when I came out. Not angry, accusing, like I'd violated some unspoken agreement that breakups were supposed to be messy. You said you were leaving, I replied. I assumed you meant it. She turned on me. You assumed wrong. No, I said calmly. I assumed you meant what you said. She folded her arms. I was upset. People say things when they're upset. And sometimes, I said, people get taken seriously. That set her off. She called me cold, petty, said I was enjoying this, that I'd been waiting for an excuse to get rid of her. She accused me of never loving her as much as she loved me. That one almost got me. Almost. Loving someone doesn't mean chasing them when they threaten to leave, I said. It means respecting yourself enough not to beg. She laughed bitterly. So that's it. You just flipped a switch and stopped caring? I shook my head. No, I just stopped negotiating. She stared at me like I'd spoken a foreign language. What if I want to stay? She asked. You already chose not to, I replied. She opened her mouth to argue, then stopped. Her eyes flicked to the bags, to the door, to the fact that nothing in the apartment felt like it belonged to her anymore. Where am I supposed to take all this? She asked. I grabbed my keys. I ordered you a ride. That's when she realized this wasn't a standoff. It was logistics, and she was officially on the outside of them. The ride showed up 10 minutes later. She watched through the window as the car pulled up, arms wrapped around herself like she was bracing against cold that wasn't there. When her phone buzzed with the notification, she didn't move. I'm not getting in that, she said. That's fine, I replied. The bags still are. She snapped her head toward me. You can't just decide this is over like it's a canceled subscription. I didn't, I said. You did. I just accepted it. That sent her spiraling again. She accused me of being heartless. Said no one just lets a relationship end like this unless they never cared. Said I must have been emotionally checked out for months. I let her talk, because the truth was simpler, and she didn't want to hear it. I cared enough not to chase someone who used leaving as leverage. She finally grabbed her purse and yanked one of the suitcases toward the door, struggling with it like anger might make it lighter. At the door, she stopped, hand on the knob. Waiting. Say something, she said quietly. Please. I thought about all the times I'd swallowed my feelings so she wouldn't blow up. All the times I'd apologized just to keep the peace. All the times she'd threatened to walk when she wanted control back. I hope you figure out why you said it, I said. But I'm not staying while you do. Her face crumpled. She opened the door, dragged the suitcase out, then turned back once more. You were supposed to fight for me, she whispered. I met her eyes. I was supposed to respect myself. She stepped out. The door closed behind her. The car pulled away. And for the first time since that text message, the apartment was completely silent. I thought that would be the end of it. It wasn't. By noon the next day, my phone started buzzing like I'd kicked a hornet's nest. Missed calls. Texts from numbers I barely recognized. People who hadn't checked on us in months suddenly very invested in my mental state. Hey man, Brianna's really upset. She said you threw her out while she was drunk? That's kinda messed up, dude. I didn't respond. At 2 p.m., she texted me herself. I can't believe you embarrassed me like this. Embarrassed. Not hurt. Not sad. Embarrassed. I stared at the message longer than I should have. The nerve of it almost impressed me. You didn't have to make it so final, she followed up. We could have talked. That one pissed me off. I replied once. Just once. You told me you were leaving and told me not to ask why. I respected that. 3 dots appeared instantly. You were supposed to know I didn't mean it. There it was. The unspoken rule I'd finally broken. I was supposed to read between the lines. Translate threats into requests. Decode drama into reassurance. I didn't answer. An hour later, she sent a selfie. Puffy eyes. Tear tracks. Captioned, "This is what you did." I blocked her. That evening, I found one of her earrings under the couch. Normally, I would have driven it over. Used it as an excuse to see her. To reopen the door. Instead, I put it in an envelope, wrote her name on it, and dropped it in the building mail slot. Clean. Final. Boring. And somehow, that felt like the most powerful thing I'd done in years. Because when someone expects you to beg, your silence becomes deafening. And she was finally starting to hear it. 2 days later, she showed up again. I wasn't home, but the doorman texted me first. Your ex is downstairs. Says it's urgent. I sighed and told him I wasn't available. Apparently, that didn't stop her from trying, because when I got back that night, there was a note taped to my door. Crooked handwriting. Lipstick smudge on the corner. You don't get to erase me like this. That line stuck with me. Not because it hurt, but because it summed her up perfectly. To her, love meant permanence on her terms. She could leave, threaten, disappear, but I wasn't allowed to accept it. She texted from a new number that night. Blocking me doesn't make you right. I didn't reply. Then the messages got mean. She said I was emotionally abusive. That I ambushed her. That any decent guy would have waited until she was sober. She said she'd tell people I kicked her out with nowhere to go. That one almost made me respond. Almost. But here's the thing. I didn't kick her out. I believed her. She left first. I just refused to pretend she hadn't. The next morning, I got a call from her mom. We'd always been polite, never close. I don't know what's going on, her mom said carefully, but Brianna's a mess. I'm sure she is, I replied. She says you blindsided her. I took a breath. She told me she was leaving and told me not to ask why. I respected that. Silence. Then, oh, that one word felt heavier than all the texts combined. That afternoon, I finally felt it. Not guilt, not anger, but clarity. The kind that doesn't buzz or spike. It just settles. She didn't want a breakup. She wanted a reaction. And when all she got was acceptance, the power dynamic collapsed. I wasn't cruel. I wasn't dramatic. I just didn't chase. And for her, that was unforgivable. The story she told everyone kept evolving. At first, I was emotionally distant. Then I was cold and manipulative. By the end of the week, apparently I'd been planning to dump her for months and used her drunk text as an excuse. Funny how I was blindsided right up until I wasn't. What finally broke the silence wasn't her. It was me, realizing how peaceful my days had become. No eggshell conversations. No emotional roulette. No threat of abandonment hanging over my head like leverage. I came home from work one night and noticed something small but telling. I hadn't checked my phone once on the walk back. No anxiety. No bracing myself. That's when she called from yet another number. I answered this time. "Why are you doing this?" she asked immediately, voice hoarse. "No hello. I'm not doing anything," I said. "I stopped doing things." She scoffed weakly. "You know what I mean. You're acting like I never mattered." "That's not true," I said. "You mattered enough that I believed you." She went quiet. Then, "You're really not coming back, are you?" I leaned against the counter, looked around the apartment, my apartment now, and felt something settle. "No," I said. "I'm not." Her voice cracked. I didn't think one text would end everything. "It didn't," I replied. "It just revealed it." She didn't yell this time. Didn't accuse. Just breathed unevenly into the phone. "I thought you'd fight harder," she whispered. "I did," I said gently. "Just not this time." We hung up without saying goodbye. And for the first time, I knew she finally understood. Not that she'd lost me, but that she'd lost control. It's been 6 weeks. That's how long it took for the dust to actually settle. Not publicly, but inside me. The messages stopped after that last call. So did the flying monkeys. People got bored once there was no new drama to feed on. Turns out a breakup where one person doesn't explode, cheat, or beg isn't very entertaining. I ran into her once. Completely by accident. Grocery store, frozen foods aisle. She looked smaller. Not physically, just less certain. Like someone who'd finally realized they weren't the main character in every room. She didn't say hi. Just stared at me for a second, then looked away. That was enough. I went home afterward and noticed something strange. There was no urge to text anyone about it. No need to process, explain, or justify. The moment passed and stayed past. That's when I understood the real ending. She didn't break me by leaving. She exposed how often she threatened leaving to stay in control. And when I didn't chase, when I simply accepted it, the whole illusion collapsed. She expected begging. She expected chaos. She expected me to convince her she was irreplaceable. What she got instead was calm, boxes, and a closed door. And yeah, maybe packing her bags that night seemed cold to some people. But here's the truth Reddit loves to ignore. Sometimes the healthiest response to disrespect isn't confrontation. It's acceptance. She said she was leaving. I believed her. And that belief changed everything.